The Möbius strip is more than just a mathematical curiosity. It's a physical representation of a paradox. What appears to be two sides is actually just one continuous surface. This makes it an excellent metaphor for recursive self-reference, which is how awareness deepens. When consciousness turns back onto itself, it doesn't move in a straight line. It loops, re-examining itself from different angles, but it's always part of the same unified experience.
You're saying that awareness of consciousness isn't a straight path, but more like a continuous loop?
Exactly. People will maybe think of self-discovery as linear, as if you start at ignorance and move toward enlightenment. But in reality, self-awareness is recursive. You reflect on yourself, then reflect on your reflection. This is why typologies, astrology, and psychological frameworks are so important. They provide structured loops of self-recognition. You begin by identifying with a type or pattern, then you observe it, then you recognize that it's just a construct, and eventually you transcend it.
But some non-dual teachers say that personality, identity, and typologies aren't real. That self-discovery is just reinforcing the illusion of ego.
That's a common stance, but it overlooks something crucial. If you try to transcend identity without first understanding it, imagine trying to let go of something you've never actually seen clearly. You end up in dissociation, not enlightenment. How would you know what you're letting go of? Before you dissolve identity, you have to fully recognize it as a construct.
So, you're saying self-knowledge through typologies isn't a trap, but a necessary step?
Precisely. Think of it this way. Before you can outgrow an old belief system, you first have to know that you're inside one. If you skip this step, you're just pretending you're beyond identity, while still being unconsciously driven by it. This is why psychological development and non-dual insight must work together. Awareness arises from recursive self-reference, the continuous process of seeing yourself, then seeing yourself, until self-identity becomes transparent.
This seems to challenge the idea that enlightenment is immediate transcendence. You're saying there's a process?
Exactly. Some non-dual teachings emphasize immediate realization, but actual integration typically requires deep recursive inquiry. Even traditions like Zen or Advaita Vedanta emphasize post-realization integration. Simply recognizing identity as an illusion doesn't resolve patterns driving it. Recursive self-reference stabilizes realization.
So without recursive self-reference, people might intellectualize non-duality without integrating it? What happens when this is the condition continues? Aren't most of us just caught up in this like a continuous mind game with ourselves?
Yes, that is why spiritual bypass occurs as a mistaken intellectual understanding for true realization. People adopt the belief that the self isn't real without doing actual self-recognition. Self-awareness isn't about jumping to the other side of realization. It's about following the loop until you see there was never another side. So self-awareness and non-duality aren't two things. They're perspectives of one continuous process. The moment you see that, the loop resolves itself. Once seen clearly, there's nothing left to transcend, only to witness